love this beat.
This is nice.
Hey, welcome, folks, to the Growing Up 90 podcast. I am Soul Criminal. Over there is
John Rigo.
How come I can't hear you?
You got me now?
There you are.
That's your man at John
welcome
Rigo.
to the Growing Up 90 podcast. Rambo exited the building.
Yep.
Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at our Instagram. I keep saying social media, but it's just Instagram.
It's right
all
over
right?
here.
At John Regal, at Growing Up 90, at Soul.Criminal. And yeah, you can also watch us on YouTube when we do translation videos. So fuck the reaction videos. We're doing translation videos.
You ever notice that someone gave us like a thumb down?
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, who cares? I don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah,
we only have 10 listeners.
That's what I'm saying. which one of the, we got 10% hate?
Right?
It's great.
I don't care. The more hate we get, the better off we are.
Sweet times.
You know, I just wish people would just like it or whatever, just so people would get moved up on the thing. But whatever, it'll take time. It'll take time.
We got a good one for you.
What did you say?
So we got a good one for you.
So today, it's going to be mostly a John Regal podcast because it's about comedians and funny people. And I don't really, in the 90s, I don't really like comedies. I'm not big into them, where, I mean, I have my fair share of people that I like and I follow, but his list goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's just like, it's just way too much for me to really give a shit. So it's just going to be the, whatever he wants to talk about with these guys, and I'll just chime in. So it's kind of going to be a role reversal podcast.
Have you done some research on this?
I did, and it was just way too much shit.
What
way
did you
too
come
much
up with,
stuff.
though? Give us a summary.
I came up with the fact that I only liked about 5 comedians or 5 funny people of the 90s.
So
not like 10. I wouldn't say 5, but 10.
Let's start with one of them. Go with one of them.
We didn't even talk about what we did this week.
We did.
You're just jumping straight to the podcast, huh?
What did you do this week?
Wow. So John Regal here was rehearsing how to opening of this podcast because not like we've ever done that before. All of a sudden he needed a script in his head. I don't know why. And apparently he forgot about the whole beginning of the podcast because how did our week go? What happened in our life? You know, what did you do on Valentine's Day? How's your dick? Nothing.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
My wife had the menses.
She has what?
Her menses.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was no way unless you giving head. I ain't flying on a seat that's red.
No.
Nope.
Wow, you didn't earn that tattoo, huh?
No. I have in my prior times. I don't need to. My
I don't
soldier's
need
been
to.
to war already. You know what I'm saying? So unless you get doming it out. You ain't get no bone in your house. I got the rhymes for it.
Of course you do.
The week, I don't know, worked, started that new job, you know, as a maintenance engineer. A janitorial engineer.
That's good, though.
What you do, bruh? Try any new foods? You didn't try that chicken sandwich.
No, I totally forgot about it.
Bacon, ranch, and chicken.
Yeah, I forgot about what did I do this week? Well, I found out my aunt's dying, so that's always always great news.
That's horrible.
So that's more the biggest my concern ever since that kind of popped. I mean, we knew she was dying, but we didn't know now there's a timeline. So my poor brother's got to deal with all that stuff. Found out I can't say what I found out because if my dad's listening to this, he's not supposed to know yet. So I can't tell him yet.
Well,
because my dad does listen to the podcast, believe it or not.
That's awesome.
And so I can't mention that. That's an unmentionable. I'll mention to you after. Yeah, so my poor brother and her boyfriend's got to deal with all that crap. And, fortunate for me, I am the irresponsible one of those two, according to the rest of the family. So I get the least responsibility when it comes to that stuff.
You're the recluse.
Yes. So since my brother's the one who's got the high-paying job, the family, the house, and all that stuff, he gets all the responsibility for the tough decisions, like whether somebody lives or dies. So
Tough stuff.
Mm-hmm. Originally, it was me. Everybody thought it was me, and then, but legally, we found the legal forms, and it was him. And I was just like, whew. You know, dude, that was rough finding that shit out.
My
like,
mom wouldn't make me her proxy or whatever.
when a nurse calls you and asks you whether how do you want your aunt to live or die, this is a choice you have. I was like, ugh. And I was like, thank God that we found that proxy sheet.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like,
crazy.
I don't know what to know. In my head, So, I mean, I knew in my head what I thought, and it's probably, it's sad now when you think about it, but the reality is we probably should have gone that route because she's literally running cycle on what the original problem was because she doesn't give any effort to really try to help herself. I mean, she's just one of those people, and so it's kind of like if we just let it go the first time, it would have been probably been better off and less miserable for her because nobody wants to die in a home. So, I mean, it's not that she would have died in a home, but now she's got to, be around it, suffer through it, and realize her situation where before she wouldn't have. So, my brother's battling with that in his head, and it sucks. But, I try to talk him off the ledge on that one because it's not something worthy to be guilty about, and, which is unfortunate. But what were you saying? Your mother won't make you her Well, your sister must be that.
Because I'm irresponsible.
Oh. Be like, just kill her. Just let her die.
I'm over here saying, wow, this is so sad. What a way to open up on a fucking comedy special.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. We need to flip the script a little bit. But I mean, it's just this is the thing. It's we all forget, and I as we get older, our parents get older, and our family gets older. We don't really realize it. You see your kids get older. We see our family, our nephews and stuff, nieces get older. But I don't ever dawn on me that your parents are getting older because you just don't. You don't see it till you see it. You know what I mean? My dad has a disease, so I can technically see it, but I don't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough.
So then when you see it, and all of a sudden it's boom.
Because you're with them daily.
Yeah, and you remember certain things about them. Then all of a sudden they're not doing that. It's all right, so it's so it sucks, and I mean, we know we're getting older, but we don't know, you know what I mean? So you start doing 15. The whole, we still act 15. That's the problem. We do a podcast about being 15, essentially.
I know, that's so funny.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's not like we hate our lives and we're doing terrible in it. You know what I mean? You got a great family. You're doing fine.
Love all that.
You know what I mean? So it's everybody's outlook is different and how they do it. I mean, my brother's outlook on my life is he thinks I'm a big fat loser. You know what I mean? So it's because it's I didn't do the textbook thing. And I quit doing all sorts of things. But I'm fine with where I am. I mean, obviously, would we want to be in better situations? Of course. This is our choice? Of course. But, we also like to do so many other extracurricular shit.
He had the last responsible generation.
He did. He literally did, which is weird because your brother came from that same generation.
Yeah, well, he's good.
But he is good like that, though. It's quite fascinating that with your brother. But yeah, you're right. They came from everything was straight-laced and, whatever else. And we came around and all of a sudden
we ruined everything.
Yeah, we did.
We started
we started hey, hobbies and doing things that you love is what life's about.
Yeah, and we ruined America. Our generation ruined America.
Yeah, you know what I realized today? When we did our podcast, when we opened this podcast, we never actually had an open conversation about growing up in the 90s.
No.
We need to do one like that. So we will do one like that, folks, at some point. But I do have a different
next week's.
No, I got a different idea for next week because what I want to do with the open 90s, I want to get a panel. I want to get a couple of people in here, Allison, maybe Corey, Scott. Different people in here in the 90s. So we have a little sewing circle.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So this is the hottest part about this is that you show up willy-nilly whenever you want. It's where I can schedule people to show up.
Yeah,
and they'll show up, and then John's just going to be, no. I'll be John texted me, and 45 minutes ago, he said, yo.
He's over there playing Madden.
Doesn't respond. He just texts the text. See?
Out of here, bro.
He just texts the text.
That's
his new thing now.
Yeah.
Is growling and whatever.
What are you digging in, bro? He's got to dig it in my pockets.
No, he's just chewing on the blanket. He's got the winter energy will build up is getting to him.
Bro, you better stop all that.
He's so getting cabin fever.
Okay.
Only a month and a half left, buddy. It's catching up to him.
Stretch out on the couch.
Dude, he has energy.
Fuck your couch.
He has energy nonstop for the past 2 days. He, at work the other day, 1,000 miles an hour, the whole shift.
It's cold out.
No, I mean I take them out. We'd still do regular. We just don't walk as much, like as long, but we still go out 5 times a day. I still take him on his nightly walks. I still take him to the park to run around. Dude, he's got a 12,000 square foot warehouse. He goes bananas in.
Yeah,
but he just wouldn't stop. Kept going and going and going. I'm like, dude, you're wearing me out.
he thinks like this blunt is something like a
Dude,
beef
just blow it in
jerky.
his face. Get him a little high.
He thinks it's a beef jerky.
Probably. And speaking of, I buy a bunch more Slim Jims, and all of a sudden you stopped eating them.
I didn't want to eat them on you.
Dude, eat them. Now we got 50-something Slim Jims. You haven't touched any. After you ate 10 in one sitting.
It's got to get a little hot, Brian.
All right, so anyway, we'll get on to the podcast, get on to the funny people thing. Like I said, I wasn't really big into comedies back in the 90s. I'm not big into comedies now. Like, I love certain comedians. Like, Mitch Hedberg was, like, the shit to me. You know, and unfortunately, you know, rest in peace to that guy because he was hilarious. Like, I love non sequitur comedy.
So I watched a bunch of him, but there's only like
There's not much.
5.
Yeah, because he was solid for a good, like, 2 years, I think, and that's about it. But, like, Bill Burr's my boy. Like, for real. Like, that guy, I can watch his shit and listen to his stuff over and over and over and over and over again.
So I consider him like a 2000s guy.
See, that's funny because technically, based off of your formula, he's a 90s guy.
He didn't blow
Based
up
off...
till
No.
He didn't blow up till the
Okay,
2000s.
say that again.
Didn't blow up.
I want to hear it without the headphones.
Didn't blow up till the 2000s.
Okay, so...
He didn't even make my list.
Dave Chappelle didn't blow up until the 2000s.
But he was known in the 90s.
So wasn't Bill Burr. So next...
I don't know Bill Burr from the 90s.
Because you... Oh, folks, if John Regal doesn't know you or has ever heard you at a certain time in life, then you did not exist.
What did Bill Burr do in the 90s?
Then you did not exist. He was huge on the circuit in the 90s. Most of it... You can find his specials from the 90s and his stand-up from the 90s.
I don't even know his 2000s.
Yes, exactly. Because you only know it...
only from the Chappelle show.
Because you
Which was
only
2000s.
know, and you know Dave Chappelle from 2 fucking movies from the 90s.
Men in Tights.
And if he never blew up in the 2000s, would you be talking about Dave Chappelle in his 2 fucking movies?
Half Baked still.
Would you be talking about his 2? You'd be talking about one movie he did, and you'd think that.
But it wouldn't be because of Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. So shut the fuck up.
But
That's my point.
Half Baked was
That's
huge.
my point. Yes, one movie was big, and it wasn't as huge as you think.
It was huge.
No, it was huge among you potheads. There's a difference.
A lot of people love that movie.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people like Titanic too. But do we sit there and babble about fucking Celine Dion and fucking Leonardo DiCaprio, the woman who sang that fucking song?
Oh, it's her?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So I mean, yeah.
Celine Dion.
Yeah. Do you consider her the queen of the '90s fucking adult contemporary pop music?
Oh, maybe, right?
Do you? When you think of it,
Whitney.
See, so but even though Celine Dion had bigger hits in the '90s as opposed to Whitney Houston had bigger hits in the '80s,
The Bodyguard.
One song. I'm talking about the whole '80s.
I don't know any other Celine Dion songs.
She didn't do The Bodyguard.
No, Whitney did.
Yeah, one in the '90s.
And Celine Dion did Titanic.
She did, dude. See, that's the thing, because John Regal doesn't know. All right, so it never happens.
Yo.
You know, because you don't know something. By the way, today I watched the Vacation movies. You know how we had a conversation a couple weeks ago about you going to different places, acting like an American?
Yeah.
I was like, John and his family are seriously the Griswolds.
We are the Griswolds.
Like, seriously.
My wife is super supportive. Like
you guys are the Griswolds.
what's her name? It's something Griswold. It's Clark and what?
What is her name? I don't know. I just know Beverly D'Angelo. That's it.
Yeah, my wife is totally supportive.
I'm like, I can see Rusty talking to you, like going, like, so, Dad, you explained to him, well, no, that was just the pool waitress, son, and and Elijah going, is Mom gonna believe you?
It's the best.
Like, because even the relationship between Melody and Elijah is like the same as Rusty and Audrey. You know, they get along. You know, and it's like they don't brawl or anything.
They sort of do sometimes. But
Yeah,
that's
but that's siblings, you know what I mean? But it was just like, I was like...
When they go to Germany, I love that.
I was like, John is... I'm looking for sex.
And the fight at the end, those boobs that come out in that movie, I used to love those.
Yes, those are great boobs.
Those are good.
That means
Is
to go
that
to
80s?
hang somebody. Yeah.
Those are great 80s boobs.
Great.
You think their boobs weren't that great?
No, they weren't. They were very saggy back then.
That girl had boobs.
She had great tits.
Love those.
Yeah, I think they were foreign tits, that's why.
Yeah.
The Europeans ought to do
Swedish
with their
tits.
bodies first, yeah.
Swedish.
They were German in the movie, but...
She was definitely Nordic titties.
But even like Beverly D'Angelo's boobs, I forgot they were all over The Vacation. The first one.
Her boobs were in the Vacation?
Yeah, she's in the shower scene, the pool scene, and then like after the shower scene.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot.
She was an attractive lady.
Yeah, she had nice boobies.
Like her.
Did for an older woman there.
Yep.
Yeah, but then there's Christie Brinkley, and she's not naked. Come on, what's up with that shit?
That Ferrari.
Yeah, that's the Magnum PI Ferrari, as far as I'm concerned.
Ding,
ding,
ding. Same corporate owned it. They just
it was just a universal Ferrari.
They used the Ferrari.
Dad flew it over from Hawaii, but yeah, I was watching it. It's like just John's going everywhere, assuming the world is just like Chicago.
Yeah,
John just assumes everything's like Boston.
Wally World,
you know
that happened to me. Wally World, it did at Six Flags.
It was closed.
I went there and it was closed, and I drove through the barrier. Security came.
Why'd you try to do Barry? What the hell's that going to do?
Well, I did.
Did you have a BB gun with you?
I drove in between the codes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's no way I drove here 3 hours and it's closed on a random day. And it was. And the security was like, you didn't see the sign? I go, no, I didn't. Like, we saw you drive right through the codes.
The moose out front should have told you who closed.
Dude, felt like such a dick. I think we ended up going to the Dr. Seuss Museum. And then we ended up taking that trip again. We had to do it on a Monday because they switched their schedule in the fall. It was so upsetting. Totally Wally World. 3-hour ride.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, theirs was a 2,500 mile ride, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. We did it. We did it.
But yeah, it still cracked me up. Like,
so, any of those 90s? Well, Christmas is 90s.
Yeah.
And I
didn't know they remade Vacation again in 2015.
With
they didn't remake it,
Chevy
but it was
Chase?
like, yeah, it was just a grown up version. I think Jason Sudeikis was in it or somebody. I don't know.
Oh.
But I was like,
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, I don't know where to find it because I searched Vacation cast because I couldn't remember the two different Audrey names from the films. Yeah, because I hated the second Audrey. Like, why'd they make her
Which one
fat?
was her? The short, fat one?
Yeah, why'd they make her fat?
I don't know why.
And obnoxious. The first one was way prettier, way cooler.
The second one's the one I remember, though.
Yeah, well, because we were older.
Chewing gum and being obnoxious.
The pig and the poke.
Yes.
Yeah, and her boyfriend was Billy Zabka. I love Billy Zabka.
That shit's awesome.
The quintessential 90s dickhead.
Yes.
But he owned it. I loved it. I love Billy Zabka.
Awesome.
I loved him when he became when you would interview him years later. I'd listen to interviews with him, and he owned everything he did. It was fantastic. Because, you know, like actors would be like, not embarrassed, but they will acknowledge it, kind of. Dude, he would go through his movie lines word for word.
He was the same in Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, it's fucking great.
It was great.
I love when people own their shit.
It's awesome.
So anyway, so like for me, we'll just go over my list briefly of like who I like to, you know, as far as comedy. I mean, Chris Rock was probably my favorite '90s guy. Besides, like him and Adam Sandler were probably my two. But Chris Rock, because as I was older, he was, you know, he was late '90s. Adam Sandler was more early '90s. Dennis Leary, but Dennis Leary was more just because of that one album.
Yeah.
In those commercials he did.
Yeah.
And who else? Like Seinfeld, but I didn't watch a lot of TV in the '90s. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a TV guy. And,
I didn't watch Seinfeld till it was like probably canceled.
Yeah, you know, and like I only watched it because one of my mentors would always reference it, so I had to start kind of watching episodes because otherwise I was never going to get his conversations. And when if it wasn't about weightlifting, then I wouldn't get what he was talking about.
Weightlifting in Seinfeld.
Yeah, that was his big thing. He memorized every episode of Seinfeld. It's disgusting. And Ben Stiller, but not super much in Ben Stiller.
When was Zoolander?
Late 90s. I want to say 99 to 2000.
Because I didn't like that till later, too.
I loved Zoolander.
When it came out originally, I hated it.
I can see that. I liked it.
You know. But what did Ben Stiller...
Oh, Something About Mary was his big one in the 90s.
Was that 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because what's his name? Chris Elliott is in that movie, and Chris Elliott was really funny.
Yeah. What was the show that he did, Chris Elliott?
I forget. The name is like super catchy too. If we looked on it, but Chris Elliott was funny, and yeah, he brought him back with Ben Stiller brought him back with that Something About Mary.
Yeah.
And then Scary Movie brought him back
with the little hands.
Yes. So, I mean, Seinfeld. So he was on your list. We could talk about him.
I mean, he's a classic comedian anyway. He's one of the world's top. Comedians, but he's got that Jewish comedy.
He makes me laugh. Yeah, it's sort of dry. It's funny.
It's very matter of fact comedy.
Yeah.
It is, and it's fine, and that's more universal to middle class working America.
Yeah.
You know, and it really is.
It is universal. Some people do think it's funny still. I like it. It's dry, but it wasn't like something I really needed to watch. Mitch Hedberg was someone I would want to continuously watch because I was like,
because you had to think about it. Because non sequitur comedy, you got to think about it, and that's what's great about it. You're like, it's not there to be like, oh, it's like, oh.
Well, yeah, it's like, what's he gonna think of
it.
next with that? Like the way he just put things together for you were freaking so unique and so funny that you were like, it was right there, and you're just dying laughing at it after the fact. And Dennis Leary, his stand-ups and like his content, which you didn't
His was in your face, like blue collar comedy
and political too. And
yes,
like he's like a byproduct of George Carlin, and that was his style, right?
Yeah.
And
I just realized Stephen Wright is the only other like real non sequitur comedian out there.
What has he done? I don't know.
He's from the '80s, dude. You'll know. I'll put him up real quick while you just chit chat.
Was he the dry guy with the bald head?
In the he had the hair on the side.
Yeah, I know him right. Yep.
With the long face, yeah.
I can really only when you said sort of like Mitch Hedberg with the secular, the secular. Like, yeah, I know his style. He was funny too.
He was great because it's unique because both the deliveries are the same. It's very like it's like I think Stephen Wright was not more, but what's the word I'm looking for, like Eeyore-ish,
yes.
I can't think of the
monotone.
Word. Yeah, and Mitch Hedberg, he even laughed at his own jokes. His was like because he was always high. Yeah. So he in the way he would express it was hilarious.
And he would think that. I always thought for a lady, Janeane Garofalo fits with them.
Yes. I just think hers was miserable humor. I think Daria, and
yeah.
One thing I gave her, she definitely had a scene. Like she represented a good, solid group of not even just women, but mostly women, obviously, young girls, but like just people who had that like, I'm gonna wear corduroy pants and a sweater and just not give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it was like almost the grungy alternatives.
Yeah, it was very Newbury Comics employee.
100%.
That's exactly what it was.
But smoking hipsters.
Yeah, before there were hipsters, and you weren't quite grunge because you were just super miserable. Yeah, you like dark poetry, like poetry slam fucking people. Or
I hated them too. I love to hate.
I used to go to those when I was in high school.
Oh yeah, I used to partake in those.
Did you?
Yeah.
Go, give us one.
I don't know any of that.
Give us one.
No, I don't know any of that.
Give us one.
I can't. My brain's not there.
I am John Regal. Regal, yes. John Regal.
Homeboy.
I am the John Regal. Yeah, the John Regal. Word. The John.
I'm back, young scrap.
Regal.
Back, young scrap. Give me that crown. Stand up and get your hands up.
Yeah, boy.
Step up. I'll make you back on down.
I'll make you back on down, boy, because I am John Regal.
Because I leave in dead silence while the people are wilding.
Because I am John Regal. Regal like a seagull without the sea. Yo. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because I am John Regal. No H. Just an N.
No
3 letters. John.
No H.
Regal.
J-O-N.
No H. Not the car. Not the royalty. Regal.
With a U.
I am the UL Regal.
And I did it for you.
Not the Buick. I drive Ford Escape. No, not Escape. What was it?
It was a Buick Regal.
Oh, you did drive a Buick Regal.
That's where I got the name, but I just didn't spell it like it.
Yes. I am not Regal. I am John Regal.
Stamp it.
All right, so that was your poetry slam.
That was it. Woo!
All right, folks.
Talk to him.
We'll close out with the reference to what we're talking about. I did put it in one other podcast, but I will put it in the end of this podcast so you can hear what the fuck I was just babbling about. Because that, honestly, folks, that is real. Every single word I said, except for maybe 5, is true. Are you Pokemoning it up on that table again?
No, someone just offered me a mural. Maybe I'll do it.
Of what?
At a gym.
Nice, do it.
Do it a weightlifting gym. All right, so let's get to this. We're talking about John Regal and Janeane Garofalo, a back boy, and Janeane Garofalo.
It was Janeane Garofalo and Ben Stiller, right? That were like the thing, which I don't like. Ben Stiller always played the mopey white guy.
Were they MTV comedians?
Yes,
they were, right?
Yes.
What was that show? Not The State, was it?
I don't know. Look it up.
MTV had a lot of comedians coming up out of that stuff, and it was pretty funny. But she didn't end up lasting. You know, I bet she probably still has a couple of independent dollars, but Ben Stiller's a big guapa. You know, movie director, all types of stuff. Oh, yeah,
dude. He definitely turned his career. Him and like, you know, and his dad's fantastic.
I don't think she has a Hollywood star.
I have no idea.
But he does.
No, she's only... The Ben Stiller Show. Duh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's only 5'1".
Damn. That show. You know? I did want to touch on the base while we were talking about, like, Dennis Leary. Was Bill Hicks. You ever watch any Bill Hicks?
I did some, but it's none that were memorable to me.
I think Bill Hicks was freaking hilarious. And probably, you know, could have been someone funny, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He died. He had pancreatic cancer. But people, you ever hear I told you about that, they think he's Alex Jones. You ever see the comparison of Bill Hicks and Alex Jones?
No.
So he was a big political guy, and they say he was, like, exposing things, but...
Yeah, well, I thought his was more satirical stuff and not, like, you know, not to... I don't know.
So, I thought he was funny. And George Carlin, which...
Oh, you got to kind of explain to people who Bill Hicks is, since considering that he died in the mid-'90s, so they might not actually remember.
He's like one of those guys, like, they probably don't even know Mitch Hedberg, but... You know what I mean? These guys that were just like, what, jet setters, you would say? They came in hot, wicked funny, big peaks, and then...
jet setters are people who fly around the world.
Well, whatever. They came in hot. Now he's calling me about the mural. I can't answer this phone right now. I'm trying to do my podcast here.
Who calls you on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock about painting a mural?
I'm not. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're not answering. So, people listening, Bill Hicks was early 90s, mid 90s, right before he passed. Comedian. I think he was on a sitcom for a second, and I've only really seen his stand-ups through YouTube after being put onto him, and he was very funny. Joe Rogan actually put me onto him.
So wait a minute. So you considered him as being this big 90s comedian, considering that you had no idea who he was in the 90s?
He was on the list of top 20.
This is an interesting...
He was on the list of top 20 90s comedians.
This is an interesting factoid that I just come across. So we're doing a podcast and stuff that we remember, but what John Regal remembers is something he saw on YouTube, which didn't come around until, 2005, 2006?
But he was
that's pretty impressive.
He was a 90s comedian.
You remember Celine Dion, but you don't recall her being anything big in the 90s because you never really listened to her, you know what I mean? So it's kind of...
I was trying to wrap my content together with... Dennis Leary, George Carlin.
John, we're here to talk about people that when we were growing up, that we knew while we were growing up, not people we discovered 18 years later.
Same with Mitch Hedberg. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, dude. The years we're talking about, we were 12. We weren't searching for Bill Hicks.
Dude. Yeah, exactly. So why you want to talk about someone you didn't pay attention to until you were an adult?
You watch it after and you go, wow, this was in the 90s. We're talking about the 90s.
Great, but we're talking about when we grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing a historical specific on, Bill Hicks.
When I grew up in the 90s, I watched Dave Chappelle.
You watched him once or twice You watched him twice.
Or Jim Carrey. Right? Ace
Yeah, that's
Ventura.
fine.
Love him.
Yeah.
All those.
Okay, you going to talk about them, or you just going to say who you watched?
Who do you want to talk about?
You can talk... John, this is your podcast. I'm here to commentate. And I just commentated on the fact that you're talking about something that you didn't actually...
You were interrupting my thought as I was talking about Bill Hicks.
Yes, you're talking about... I want you to talk about something that you remember...
Joe Rogan
as being
put me
a
on
teenager.
to Bill Hicks, so I went back and watched him. And in the 90s, he was a pioneer of his style of comedy that he was doing and died early. And people think that he is Alex Jones. When you said, let the people know who Bill Hicks is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Touche, my douchebag friend. So, back to that. Content of comedians with a similar style. Someone I did watch in the 90s, like Norm Macdonald, who roasted Bill Clinton, which was really awesome. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I did.
That's amazing.
You know what pisses me off is that when he does roasts now, nobody gets it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that sucks. Like,
I think they like almost forced themselves to like not give him reaction.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what people's hate is on him.
Because he in the 90s,
Like, isn't
he
it
said Hillary Clinton was killing people.
I know, but still, it's just like, why? But why does the general public gotta hate him?
Because they're all in their pockets. You know that.
The general public? We're the general public.
They're all on that side of the field. So if they saw, like, remember we watched his interview on The View?
I didn't watch that.
Oh my goodness! And
Why would you watch The View?
I watched this like after it was like. So he did the roast of Bill Clinton, and then like YouTube, like you said, you get to watch these things, and you come across Norm Macdonald on The View, like early 2000s when the sitcom was like just starting to really peak.
What was the sitcom, John?
It was like some family show, right?
No, what was the name of it?
I don't know, dude. He did like 2 years of it. They got
The
canceled.
Norm Macdonald Show. Oh my God, John!
I didn't want to say it that easy.
You can't talk about.
This is like a trivia.
Did you research anything besides look at a list that Google gave you?
No, because I remember the shows, but I don't remember the names of the shows.
Oh my God!
I watched so much comedic material growing up.
Except for Bill Hicks, apparently.
Dude, no one knew who Bill Hicks was.
Apparently, a lot of
At my
people
age,
did.
No, because at my age, I wasn't. I was like I said, like 13 years old. I'm watching In Living Color. You know what I mean? I'm not watching Bill Hicks stand-ups.
And you didn't watch...
I was probably watching, because I did watch Comedy Central, I was probably watching that bald-ass guy, who I said I didn't even know his name, but I knew him off his face and his style of comedy. What was his name? Steve, whatever you mentioned.
Steve Wright.
Yeah, like I was watching Comedy Central nonstop. So like these comedians were there, but
And
there
you
many.
never came across Bill Hicks.
Yeah, I must have. Obviously.
You must have.
Yeah, because
They
they do all those improv shows,
You must have.
and like Comedy Central just played on my TV nonstop.
And you
it
didn't
still
see
does.
Mitch Hedberg on there?
Obviously, no, must have. You know what I mean? But these are dudes when years come down the road again, and I'm going back and finding comedians that were popping right now that I'm not paying attention to. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's exactly how it works. Like the people who weren't blowing up, they were in the little circuits.
Wow.
And then you come across them later and you go, wow, I missed this to see that guy live, kid.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Whatever, John.
So, Norm Macdonald, and that was the whole section I was prepared for social commentary comedians.
Okay, go.
Right? Then we got the whole, there was a huge movement of, like, black comedians that I would say, like, they started early. I think some of the funniest ones starting in the beginning of, like, major comedy, you know, like Red Fox and, like, Richard Pryor stuff. But now, in the 90s, you got Chris Rock, which you said you knew. Steve
Come on, you don't
Harvey.
consider the 80s and the Showtime at the Apollo as being a big thing?
Oh, obviously, but I think Def Comedy Jam, like, made so many comedians for us that, you know, like, we needed. You mentioned Chris Rock, which a Def Comedy Jam came right to my head when, you know, and Dave Chappelle did have those little ones. Martin did, Bernie Mac, Cedric, Steve Harvey, as we were saying. I like the Wayans brothers, even though like the scary movies are like.
Spell that for me.
I spelled it wrong in my thing.
Spell it right.
Waynes. Right? Or is it just Wayne? It's the Waynes. Did I get it right?
You're like that's not mine. That's Wayne's. That's exactly how you spelled it. No, it's Wayans. Wayans.
Say it again?
Wayans.
Wayans.
Something along those lines.
I thought it was Wayne's. Yo.
So you thought like Wayne's World was about the Wayans brothers?
Yo, that's awesome.
Yo, these dudes are white. What the fuck is this shit?
Yo, these dudes ain't the Waynes brothers. This ain't nothing like...
It's none of the Wayans. There's like 86 of them. And I don't see one in here.
Chris Rock, right? Was he on in Living Color? I don't think so, right? Mm-mm. But he was in I'ma Get You Sucker. And that character is super iconic, trying to bring those two in together, you know what I mean?
I always remember the first time I saw him as Pookie in New Jack City.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And he played like almost one of his characters, but in a serious, dramatic role, right? But, yeah. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Is that, I want to say 80s, though, no?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And that's like Keen and Damon, I'll take as late 80s.
Who was the first one?
Keenan Ivory?
There you go.
Keenan Ivory.
There you go. You're like, right? Kiki?
All right, so yeah, them two I consider late 80s, but they obviously...
Because they were the older ones.
Yeah, and they made the mark for, what was his DJ name? SW1?
Yep.
Right? And Marlon. Those two guys, but their movies were great. Like, did they do, Booty Call? Was that Booty Call? No, that was
Bill Bellamy.
And the other skinny
Bam!
guy.
I love Bill Bellamy. That's another guy, too.
So, all right, back in that, we had Cedric, and I remember them from, like, the Def Comedy Jams, you know? And Bill Bellamy with, was it How to Be a Player? It was one of my favorite movies, but his stand-ups weren't that bad either.
No, that's what he was. Bill Bellamy wasn't Booty Call. He was the way
he was How to Be a Player.
Booty
Call, but Booty Call was Jamie Foxx.
Thank you. Okay.
And Tony guy, the skinny guy, he's in Ace Ventura Part 2.
Yeah. Not a big fan of those movies, so I don't remember.
No, he was all right. But in Living Color, right? And you didn't really remember David Cross, so we aren't going to talk about him, but he was
You
a big
can talk
writer.
about him.
I don't really know too much about him besides Arrested Development, but that's all 2000 stuff. He was mentioned on that list, and I was just like, yo, he's hilarious. But all this stuff's later on for me. Mike Myers.
Yes, Mike Myers, and I didn't realize that Austin Powers came out mid-90s. I always thought it was early 90s, but it was mid-90s.
Yeah, so,
it was like 94, 95, yeah.
High school, we started to be like, ooh, baby. Ooh.
Oh, God, how annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Those trends of...
I was definitely doing it. I was a cornball like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still do, what's that? Borat
Yeah,
shit.
but Borat's the best.
That is so fucking annoying.
I love the Borats. But the Hey Babies, Austin Powers are still fairly funny.
Yeah.
They got
a little obnoxious by the time the Beyonce was in it.
Yeah. His Love Guru, that's when I started feeling fall
Shrek.
off. Shrek were good.
Yeah.
I like the Shreks.
Yeah.
Mike Myers still acts, so that's good. Like he made his mark. Dana Carvey did not make his mark, in my opinion. And
he was just annoying.
He was honestly a really good George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
He probably could have done a movie on that, but I don't think they were even thinking like that then.
No.
That would have hit.
Actually, I don't know. They were thinking about that. It's like, if they made Night at the Roxbury, they're definitely thinking about that shit.
Like a whole George Bush satire?
Yeah. I don't know if they could really do it, though.
They could have.
I don't know. I think
he was a really good George Bush.
No, I just don't know if they could do it. Like, they would allow them to do it.
Like, they would have been funny if Will Ferrell did a whole George Bush movie, too, a junior.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That was his character.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I didn't watch Saturday Night Live, so I don't know.
But Dana Carvey, I mean, what are the characters you remember of Dana Carvey besides Garth and George Bush?
That's about it. I didn't watch Saturday Night Live.
Right? Yeah. Well, I mean...
I don't... That he was known for?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what...
He tried stand-up, right? But
who was the guy who played Joe Dirt?
David Spade.
Okay, that's the other guy. See, those are like the... they all look alike in a way.
Yeah, they're fillers.
Yeah.
But David Spade still acts, though.
Yeah. I like him as like because he always reminded me of like he's not like laugh out loud funny by any stretch of the imagination, but he always
He's like
reminded
a
me of like
dickhead.
he reminds me of that friend that always stuck that just clings.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That's what he reminds me of. That's why I like him. You know?
Yeah, I told you he was in one of the police academies that I've been watching on
Netflix? Is Police Academy 1 on there? Because I can't find it.
They're all on there, yeah.
All right, I found all the other ones.
And David Spade was a skateboarder. And I was like...
Was he really?
Yo!
Dude, I love going back to the old movies and seeing people.
I was like, that's a young David Spade.
Yeah.
But, and those guys ran it. The SNLs, you didn't watch them, but you watched the guys who came out of the movies. Obviously, one of the big icons, kid, Adam Sandler. Which
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I hate Billy Madison.
Really?
I do.
Why?
And a lot of people don't like that I hate it, but it doesn't hold the test of time. And my boy Norm Macdonald's even in it.
Why?
I love the teacher.
Yeah, teacher was-
Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat. She's wicked hot.
Yeah, she is.
Something about it, she was always smoking. But that movie just sucks. I don't know. Chris Farley's awesome.
I
in
think
that.
it's a little obnoxious. I can understand because I don't like obnoxious comedy, which is why I wasn't a huge Chris Farley fan. To be honest with you, like I don't like slapstick comedy like that.
Tommy Boy is great.
Like I don't like physical comedy, like into that extreme.
Yeah,
That's why I'm not a Jim Carrey fan. I'm not a Jim Carrey fan now because he's too political and fucking retard. So I'm sorry
great
you used that
actor,
word,
though.
but
I don't like that word.
he's definitely a skilled actor. But I just don't like him as a person. I just think he's just like a shitty person, you know. And that's just where I stand on him.
And think, do you know the movie Once Bitten?
Oh yeah, from the '80s.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
Young Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And but '90s, he was huge. Live in Color to all his movies.
I liked him in Living Color because that's you're watching that show because it's like that,
Yeah.
and that's why I liked.
Mad TV. We didn't talk about that though. I mean, because it was
I
like
didn't watch it, but I watched a lot of it, and plus it was on Saturday night. So
yeah, like it was so slept on.
Yeah.
but it was.
if
way
it was on
funnier.
Sunday night, we would have been. I would know about it. You know what I mean? But it was. I mean, mostly I remember is the
They have a lot of characters.
Yeah, I remember. Was Horatio Sands in that on Mad TV? Could be wrong.
No, he was SNL.
Was he?
They had
Who's the black? Who's the
Stewart.
black guy? Spears, something Spears.
No.
Ari Spears.
Ari Spears and
I remember
I always forget the names.
I remember this tall, skinny white
Jordan
guy.
Peele.
Was Jordan Peele in there?
Yeah, I think he was Mad TV. I don't know about the skinny one though.
Dude, I didn't know Jordan Peele played the voice of Duke Ellington in what's the Netflix comedy that we watch all the time? The animated one.
Oh, Big Mouth.
Yeah, he plays Duke Ellington. I didn't know that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so. See, I always remember the skinny guy from like America's Funniest Animals or something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's his name? Key something.
And we could probably do a whole podcast on comedy skit shows alone, which we can.
Yeah.
do.
So any '90s people or things that I have missed. You didn't like Chris Farley, but I thought he was funny. He did.
No, I can see why people thought he was funny. I mean, I'm sure he was extremely entertaining. It's just not my type of comedy.
Well, you think?
that I
Yeah,
really
he was
care
always
for.
jumping through a table.
Yeah, it was. It was just odd because Thai people love physical comedy. I don't care for it at all. I don't find it funny. I find it obnoxious. Like when I see people act like that in real life, I think it's absolutely obnoxious.
It depends. Like his motivational speaker was funny, and then he would just always jump through the table to end the joke.
Yeah,
You didn't need to do that.
Yeah, it was. I think that just because in general in life, I just find people like that obnoxious.
Him dancing fat was funny.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Fat guy in a
Yeah.
little coat.
Yeah.
I did like Black Sheep though.
Yeah.
I did.
Joe Dirt. That wasn't '90s though, was it?
No, I don't think so, but I did like that movie.
Dirty. Joe Dirty, kid. A Naked Gun series was the '90s.
All right,
You gotta drop them.
go.
You don't like the Naked Gun series?
I do, but I don't know why we're talking about when we're talking about comedians and you talk about movies.
Yeah.
Go. Talk about it. Talk about the comedians that are in Naked Gun.
Actual comedians?
Yeah. Since that's what we're talking about.
None of them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, because it's not what the podcast is about.
Leslie Nielsen tried to be a serious actor at first, right?
Yeah, and he was a great
serious.
serious actor. And he just went comedy when he got older. That's all. Look like Betty White.
Seemed like the way to go for a lot of people.
Yeah, why not?
Just retire on a good note.
It's easy to be old and funny.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. Think, right?
Yeah.
And now he's a dickbag.
He is a dickbag.
Now he's a dickbag.
Dickbag. Is he the one who said kill Trump's kid?
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
which is fucking obnoxious.
I know he hates Donald.
Yeah, but to say kill his kid, what the fuck's wrong with you?
People are weird.
Dude, Hollywood, and they get away with it, which
I had
is even
someone
worse.
say something on my Facebook about killing someone. I was like, no.
Killing who?
He was like, hey, you want me to help you get rid of him? I was like,
Oh.
no. I was like, do I have to delete my post now?
What is
Because,
wrong
like,
with people?
why does this kid have this on my thing? Like, I was always contemplating, I should just delete the whole post.
Right?
What a weirdo. He's a dark Weber. So, anything you want to end on?
End on. You said this was going to be a long podcast.
I think that's what we got. What's your favorite Jim Carrey movie?
The first Naked Gun came out in 1988.
Yep. So that would put probably Naked Gun 2.5.
In 91.
Yep. And then 33 and a third.
In 94.
Love the titles. Yo, and like he's always riding on another bullet.
Yeah. On the cover.
Those are great. And then there's like Hot Shots Part 1 and Part 2.
I always remember Part 2 before more than Part 1. I don't know
the
why.
title.
Yeah, it must be. And that was the
Yep.
one that had to do with like the Air Force or Navy or something, I think, right?
It's awesome.
Part 1 had to do with Rambo, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious. Not that Rambo. Besides,
Charlie Sheen.
to make a,
is a good
I'm gonna
bad
make a point
actor.
right now. Do not lean back, whatever you do.
No, I see him.
Okay.
He's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen was funny back then. You know,
Yeah.
with the.
He still was funny. Then he started giving everybody AIDS.
I know, right?
What do you think he's doing right now?
I don't know, jerking off and fucking a hooker.
He almost passed the test of time. Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney.
What happened to his brother, Emilio
Robert
Estevez?
Downey Jr. passed the test of time. He's
Yeah,
been there for 4 decades.
yeah. And when his literally life was in the shitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the 80s, 90s.
It was probably the best risk that, besides Hollywood itself, that what's that director's name? He played Happy in those Marvel movies. Jon Favreau, best risk that he probably took.
Who are you talking about?
The director of Iron Man.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, you do. He was in Swingers. Played Happy in the Iron Man movies and the Marvel movies.
Who's happy?
The guy who drove his limo around. He was in Spider-Man. He's in all of them.
I'm cooked. No.
Fat guy. Now he's fat. You didn't see Swingers?
Oh, yeah. Why? What's wrong with him?
Nothing. He's the one who picked Robert Downey Jr. to be Iron Man,
Oh.
but nobody wanted him to pick him, and that was that risky.
So that guy who's a sometimes actor is a director?
Yeah, he was both when we did Swingers.
Yeah, no. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's funny.
Yeah. But now he's just wicked fat.
It's good to see people that are doing that cut.
Yeah,
Get
no.
in front of the camera. And I didn't even know that he was a double guy.
Yeah. You know, he came up with the term money in Swingers. Remember? Everything was money, and you don't remember Swingers at all.
I know it just, what's his name? Vince.
Vince Vaughn was in it, and he always say everything was money in that movie.
Sweet.
He didn't come up with it, obviously, but it became popular because everything was money.
Money.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I don't believe you don't remember that.
No.
Dude, how do we remember? Well, I guess it's probably compliments itself because you remember more shit that I don't remember, and I obviously remember shit that you're like, what are you talking
Like
about?
Swingers is a movie I probably was put onto in the late 2000s.
Your brother, I think your brother talked about it a lot. To be honest with you, yeah, he did. And I'm pretty sure it was your brother. And but yeah, it was. Watch it again. It'll remind you of a lot of things because it doesn't really date itself. I don't think it does. I mean, it dates the actors because they're wicked skinny in the movie. You know,
Like Vince Vaughn's mad young. in it.
yeah. You know, and he's taller and lankier. You know, and his face isn't as beat up or aged. I guess you could
He
say.
didn't really get too much work, you know?
Who, Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, till like later in his career.
Yeah, I think there was like a cutoff in the early 2000s for his type of comedy, and then once Ben Stiller started making his movies, is when that type of comedy kind of came to be, like The Wedding Crashers and that stuff. And
'Cause that shit's awesome.
yeah, it's
Old
because it's
school.
like because Vince Vaughn is the type of actor who plays like again like a real person that you know, and not so it doesn't look like acting. It looks like Vince Vaughn playing.
Himself.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I like
Yeah.
which I don't mind. So. Yeah, like old school, those type of things, And what was the one he was recently in that I saw him in that I watched? I was surprised he was in it. It was Fighting with My Family. It was a serious role. You ever see that movie? It's about I don't watch WWE anymore, but Paige, she was a woman's champion in it. It's her story because her whole family's all wrestlers from England.
Is it like the Hearts? No.
Somewhat, but it's not as extreme and like serious as the Hearts. I mean, they're serious. They have their own little small federation over in England in this tiny town, and it's her life story. There was a documentary back in like 2005 that someone made about the family, and The Rock wanted to turn it into an actual movie, and he did. And it's not like it's pretty accurate to the point, you know what I mean? But they acted out a little bit differently. But it's actually a pretty cool story. It's on. Did I watch it on Hulu or Amazon Prime? Oh, you don't have either or, do you?
I got Prime.
Yeah, look for it on Prime. It's actually a pretty cool story. Fighting with My Family. It's on there, and but it's like you don't have to know who Paige is to watch it. But I looked up like how it happened. Like I watched the documentary once I heard of the movie and what it was about. I watched the documentary, and then I watched the movie, and it's pretty on point. And but obviously they took a couple of liberties, but there were minor liberties. But like the ending. When she shows up in the WWE, I looked it up and it was accurate. It was, you know what I mean? Obviously, it would have to be, but it was pretty cool. I liked it. It was entertaining, a good, fun, family movie. Kind of, you bring a tear to your eye in a sense, because it's like, they achieved something, seeing the parents proud and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And but yeah, so watch that. It's not bad. I don't know why I just brought that up though.
Well, Vince Vaughn, we were talking about.
Yeah, and he's in it. He played a serious role in it. And it was
a stretch,
he played it really good.
Yeah,
he is. And he's dead asleep. You don't want to bug him when he's dead asleep, dude. He gets pissed.
For real.
Yeah, his nuts are full of fucking hormones. Even though they look like they shrunk, but I don't know how.
Dude, I don't even want to turn around and I feel him like on my back.
Just stand up and stretch.
Not right now.
Well, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna bite you. He's just gonna act up.
No, you're gonna touch him.
Do this stretch.
I'm gonna smoke a butt.
Put your arm over your head and just pull up.
Smoke a butt.
Because that's going to stretch you.
We smoking butts.
All right, so
we talked about a lot. We did. We summed up what I would summarize this podcast of people wanting to take in from 90s comedians on my end would be the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Martin. Jim Carrey.
Yep. For me, it would be Ben Stiller, I'm adding
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. Did I say Ben Stiller already? Ben Stiller, Mike Myers. That's all I really kid at, In Seinfeld's, they add to that list.
Yeah. Those are like the major staples.
Yeah.
But a lot of good comedians came from there and are still here.
A lot of comedians came off of the shoestrings of their movies, TV shows, and stuff. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because, you didn't want to talk about your Phil.
No, because I think he's a 2000s comedian. Mm-hmm. Just like you don't want to talk about Bill Burr.
It's so funny. I'm going to have to look up his older stuff because I really...
He has hair.
I know him with hair, but I think he looks weird bald.
You really? I like him bald.
Yeah, because I know him with hair. Because he had hair in the Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
And then his stand-ups around there are fucking hilarious, too, but... Him bald, he's still fucking funny, but he just looks weird. He's so... bald and white.
Right.
Just glows.
Okay.
He's skinny and creepy, He's wicked Irish looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as he would say, howdy doody looking motherfucker.
Yeah. But he's awesome.
All right, so I already know what we're going to do next week, so I'm going to tell you now so you can brush up on this.
Brush it up.
Want to do a whole special podcast on The Karate Kid. And because I just finished the Cobra Kai season 1 and 2, and I want to go through that whole.
Yo, let me borrow it so I can seize it up. I'll watch
the whole discussion
right away. That's
do not ruin these discs because the way they stack them in here sucks. Right. And these are actually
just put it in that cover.
It's gonna fall out. It doesn't stay.
Jamie's gonna love this. This is getting binged right away.
I thought you already watched it.
Not season 2.
Oh.
I gotta see what happens. I gotta brush up on you.
Dude, you know that you're slowly collecting a stack of my movies at your house?
Yep, I'll bring them all back.
Yeah, I heard that last week.
Dude.
I even mentioned you still have my Billie Jean. You go, I still have your Billie Jean. So you even know what you have in mind.
I was like, damn.
Jesus.
Got Billie Jean over here.
Is the Karate Kid still on
Are we talking
Netflix?
about all 3 parts? Are we talking about even the...
We're going to talk about mostly the first and the third. The
talking
second
about
one
Jaden
when he's
Smith?
No, God, no. We're just going to talk about 1, 2, and 3. I don't even care about 2. 2 doesn't really do anything for me because he went over to Japan. That has nothing to do with Cobra Kai. So
It doesn't, but the drum punch that you got in the video game on the second level.
I don't believe you remember that. I do believe you remember that, actually.
And then what was your move in the third level? There was a tsunami kid. Yo. About that.
It was a hurricane, not a
It's
tsunami.
like Chosen.
2 totally different things.
You dishonor me.
Or a typhoon, excuse me.
Yeah. I never knew what a typhoon was till the Karate Kid.
It's a hurricane that goes the other way.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all it is.
Dude, never even knew what a typhoon was till I watched Karate Kid.
Because you thought it was spelled like THI
So
foon. Like the rapper.
What was it? Espresso?
Did you see me in the video spell that out? You didn't watch it, did you?
No, I listened to the whole thing.
Oh, you didn't watch it, though? You got to watch it. I'll put it up for you afterwards.
Yeah. I listen to them on Spotify when I'm driving.
So, folks, that's the end of the comedy week. I will throw up that John Regal's poetry slam reference right out as we fade out over here. Don't forget you could follow us on Instagram at John Regal, at grownup90, at soul.criminal, at Rambo_TRD.
Yeah, I finally figured out the site to always point at. The yellow Lego guy.
Yes.
That's where the text is going.
And you can watch our translation videos or watch the podcast most of the time on YouTube. If I don't feel like, if we're not doing something that will get us banned, just search Grown Up 91 word on YouTube and you should find us no problem.
Yep. I think you should put pictures of the comedians.
I'm going to. Thank you.
Nice.
You can give us a call also at 802-647-3263 that I keep forgetting to promote. But
please call us. Yo, put that in the text on the share pages so I can just have that in there. People will call. I have a bunch of idiots that will call and prank us.
Okay. Yeah, so do that. I'm going to, right here, we'll fade out into the John Regal reference. And thanks for listening. And keep it funny. Oh, also, we're going to take some of these and we'll eventually break them down into their own individual things. This is one of those overview shows. We're trying to get the overview shows in while nobody's listening. And hopefully when more people start listening, we'll break down each thing and get more into facts and rather than assumptions. Well, I'll be the fact guy and John can continue to do assumptions. And
opinionated facts.
Yeah, opinionated facts.
That's it.
And, but anyway, folks, thanks for listening. And until next week, see you later.
Slates.
Wanna know why I'm good at this trade? I'll explain it to you. Just one reason is 'cause I am John Regal. Yeah, boy, I'm back, young scrap. Give me my crown and yo, stand up. Get your hands up. Yeah, boy, step up or make you back on down. It's like how they go and figure that I won't spit a hella flow. Regal on this come around is not collecting cheddar dough. Let it go, let it grow, let it be, remember me. I'm heavy on a melody and presently I'm heavenly. I seek for high beams 'cause I'm tired of being tired. And it's time for you to see that it's time for you to hide me. The Bean City King 'cause I'm live like a wild with goals and dreams. Never see me retire. Got soul and energy to paint pictures like I'm rendering. This is pristine, cleverly being heaven sent. Speech is unique with details that are relevant. Words create a scene and sentences with intelligence. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. 'Cause I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. 'Cause I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal. 'Cause I am John Regal. Yeah, boy, I'm back, young strap, give me my crown. Hey, yo, stand up, get your hands up. Yeah, boy, step up or make you back on down. It's like I leave in dead silence. I don't need to see the violence. Once I hear the police sirens, leave the scene and burn the tires. Driving off in style while the people keep wildin'. That's on me. I don't need the beef. I seek peace and rhyming 'cause my fuel tanks hot and my style speaks fire. Try to find it, but you're blind. Well, I shine like a dime. I attire, they admire, cause I'm fly like a pilot. The designs in my mind will enlighten your desire. It's the lines that I spit, which is why I don't perspire. Never sweat on the set, every breath is on time. Every inch that I get, always get, cause I'm trying. Every second that I live, always live like I'm dying. Said I rocked in the giant city parks, freestyling while you're hiding in your closet at your homestead, crying. Never time for a child. This guy who's kinda blinded by the light that's shining off me when I'm grinding. Cause I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal, sucker. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal, homeboys. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal, sucker. I am John Regal, John Regal, John Regal, homeboys. I am John Regal, yeah boy, I'm back, young strap, give me my crown. Yo, stand up, what? Get your hands up, yeah boy. You step up, we'll make you back on down. DC, make you back on down. J Creed, make you back on down. Slip wax, make you back on down. Concept, make you back on down.
Get up, get up, get up, get up, what? Get up, get up, get up, get up, word. Get up, get up, get up, get up, what? And you'll be R.I.P. That's a G.O.D. Get up, get up, get up, get up, what? Get up, get up, get up, get up, word. Get up, get up, get up, get up, what? And you'll be R.I.P. That's a G.O.D. 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 Yo,